Hey guys, so I know I typically do upbeat, kind of funny videos. I always try to keep things positive and upbeat for you guys, but there's a little bit of a story that's been weighing on my shoulders for, I guess, the past 10, 11 years. And that was losing my best friend, my brother, to a drug overdose. I'm not going to get into the details for privacy reasons, and there's a lot to it that just doesn't need to be discussed, but there are a few points to this that I think are very important, and I think hopefully some of you guys can learn something from. Rewind back to kindergarten. I met Conrad. Right away, I heard his laugh and I said, this has got to be my best friend. As soon as he laughed, I didn't even know what the hell he was laughing at, but I immediately started laughing. And that's how it was for the rest of our lives. Whenever I'd see him, and we would have fun, and we would play music, we would play Army, we would play G.I. Joes, but we would always be laughing. So if we fast forward a few years, my friends started to get into some minor trouble. Smoking marijuana, doing questionable, minor illegal things, vandalism, this and that. But it didn't really get bad until we were about 17, 18 years old. He had gotten a new place, and I had been there a couple times, and everything was fine. And then I noticed things seemed a little off after a few weeks. And long story short, he had opened up to me and admitted to me that he was injecting heroin and opiates. And that's when our story got really rocky. I think my biggest message to everyone out there is, when we're kids and we're young and we're teenagers, we're dumb. We don't think of the consequences of our actions. It's always, oh, that'll never happen to me, and oh, I'll take that pill, I'll never overdose, or I'll drive that car super fast and never get in a crash or hurt myself or anyone else. We have these unrealistic outlooks on decisions we make sometimes, and I have two boys of my own now, and I'm getting ready to have that conversation with them when they start, running into people or friends that are experiencing mental health issues or addiction issues. And my biggest fear is that either my boys or someone that they're very close to has to go through what me and Conrad had to go through. And I'm saying this because I was one of those kids that never thought anything bad would happen to me. We grew up in a small town. You don't hear these things. You don't hear of crime. You don't hear of deaths. You don't hear this stuff. And, we live in this false sense that, everything's going to be okay and nothing bad's going to happen. And the reality is that there's a lot of bad things that happen, and very quickly. So when you're deciding to pick that beer up for the first time, or that joint, or anything else that you want to do recreationally to have fun because your friends are doing it, or maybe you just want to do it. It's been 11 years since my friend died, and I still cry every single week when I think about everything that happened, and that, I still hold a certain level of feeling guilty and responsible for not being able to help him. And I was a kid, we were kids, and I know I did everything that at the time I could to try to keep him safe and get him on the straight path, but it didn't work. And I do hold part of myself accountable for that. But what I've learned, and what I'm continuing to learn, and like I said, it's been 11 years, is when someone's struggling that bad with addiction or mental health, there's nothing anyone can really do or say to make them stop it or to fix them. You can be there to support, and I think if they have someone there to support them, it helps, but there's nothing you can do specifically, unless you're a professional, to help these people. And that's the reality of it. And this I beat myself up for probably 5-6 years thinking I was the reason. Why didn't I Why didn't I just take Conrad and lock him in my basement? Why didn't I, explain to his parents the full extent of what was going on? Why didn't I do these things? And I look back and I was a kid and I was scared, and I was scared shitless. And all I saw was that my best friend, my brother, was slowly deteriorating, and there was nothing I could do. And I still remember when he first started smoking pot and him saying, it's not an issue, I'm never going to do anything worse than this. But unfortunately he did. And I'm not saying weed's a gateway. I'm just saying any decision you make when you take a substance that alters how you feel mentally or physically, it can become a very slippery slope. And I know you've heard this from your teachers, your parents, your friends, your family. But this is coming from someone who's lived it firsthand and has lost a beautiful soul along the way because of it. So anyways, his favorite song was Stairway to Heaven. Now, I play drums. I'm a drummer. I play guitar. I recently purchased a saxophone, and I learned a bit of Stairway to Heaven, and I'm going to play it here for him. Okay, so since losing Conrad has been the hardest thing I've ever had to experience in my entire life, and that's no joke. And I honestly think that even when I'm an old man, it's still going to be the hardest thing I've ever had to experience in my whole life. But with that, because Conrad was such a jokester, I thought I'd play a bit of a joke on myself today and make trying to play this song that much harder. So if you guys don't know saxophones, they got to reed. That little piece there is what buzzes and makes the sound. They come in different sizes, or I guess hardnesses. I'm not a pro, so I don't really know, but all I know is that I usually play with a 2.0, but I thought, since this is one of the hardest things I've had to deal with, I'm going to put a number 3 on and see if I can still play. So let's see how it goes, guys.